it's Jeffrey with Real Nifty Vintage, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's actually a sit-down video where I'm just talking, talk. Lots of subjects will be covered in this video, taxes, and just kind of what's going on in my life right now, because I feel like we don't really get to talk about that so much, and because there's not a lot in the way of sourcing opportunities out there right now, sadly. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut to that video right now. So I wanted just to go over a little bit about some things that are happening. It's the end of the year, it's the start of another, so it's a great time to reflect on the last year that I have had. And it's really the perfect time because taxes are due. We just got through with a whirlwind of holidays, Christmas, New Year's, all of that. So it's a great time just to kind of step back from it all and reflect a little bit on just what had happened. Speaking of taxes, I do my own. I use QuickBooks and Free Tax USA. So if you file your own taxes and you're looking for something that's really cheap, affordable, well, it's free. Free Tax USA. It's not sponsored or anything like that, but this is my second year filing with them. Before that, I was using taxact.com. It's very similar to TurboTax. And then TurboTax is even more expensive. That's, I believe, a QuickBooks Intuit product. But I do use QuickBooks every month. It's linked right in through Etsy, so it's very easy. All my credit cards are linked into it, especially, well, the business credit cards are. And I can really easily itemize things that way. So it's very intuitive. But yeah, taxes, that's really big right now, and I'm just about done with my taxes. And you know, it's not as bad as it could be. What really gets you, and I don't know how many of you out there are resellers or actually do this, but when you own your own business, you are responsible to pay Social Security and, well, FICA, I believe it's called. So all of those things that are under that, Medicaid, Medicare, all that, under that term, you have to pay all of that yourself. So when you work for somebody else, the employer actually pays half of that. And then on your paycheck stub, you'll note that there's a portion that you pay as the employee. Well, as self-employed, you have to pay all of that, and that's about 15%. So yeah, all income that you clear with your own business, you have to pay 15% of that. So yeah, not too great, is it? But, you know, it could be worse, I guess. Right now, I'm also taking a little bit of time just to do some things that I don't normally do, like watch movies. Now, we do watch Netflix and Hulu every night, but I've been wanting to get into some older films that I haven't watched. So on Instagram, and if I don't know, you're a subscriber, not a subscriber, what's it called? If you're on Instagram and you have me on there too, then I posted a question out a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, asking some good 1950s movies to watch, because I just really don't watch a lot in that era, and I've always wanted to, but you know, when you look at them all, you're kind of like, oh, I just didn't know where to start. So I had some really good suggestions. I watched a couple already. So I watched How to Marry a Millionaire. That was really good. It had Marilyn Monroe in it. It's about these gals that move to the city, New York, in an effort to catch a man, a millionaire man, by the way, so that they can live big. And that was a pretty good film. It was a really good one, and it wasn't too long, so I liked that about it. Then I also watched Auntie Mame, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. It was, almost 2.5 hours, though. So after a while, I'm kind of like, is this going to be over soon? But looking back, reflecting on it, it's like, gosh, I like that movie, you know? Had some really funny scenes in it, so I would suggest that that's a film that you would watch too. Another I watched was Singin in the Rain. I had never watched that before, and I may sound like a complete dope for not, but I haven't. I know, of course, of the Singin in the Rain part where he's on the lamppost. Yeah, I know that, but I never knew why. I just was like, what a goofy thing. But I watched it, enjoyed it. There's actually a good scene in there, and it probably isn't like a spectacular scene to anybody else, but I liked it. It involves, and I don't know the people's names, the two lead guys in that film. They were on a sound stage, and one of them in particular, he was being really goofy. He was running up walls, doing flips, and this whole dance number. It was really, I liked that. And then another scene, ironically, with the two guys, they were in a dictation business. They were learning how to, I guess, speak clear. I can't even remember why they were in there. Anyway, they were in there, and they were doing another dance scene with that guy too, so it was pretty funny. And then lastly, there's a number at the very end where it's with Betty. No. Oh, she has that girl, huh? So she's older now, and she was younger then, and she's one of the people on the main cover. Can't remember her name. Anyways, she was on, they were all doing a dance number together in their house, one of their houses. I'm bad. I can't remember anything, can I? I do know the general gist of the film, and it was pretty good. Gotta say that. Then I also watched, oh, is that all three? I watched those three. But I also rented this movie called Harvey. I read the synopsis on it, and I was thinking, oh, this is kind of weird. It's like a talking, I think, bunny rabbit. The movie's called Harvey, and it looked pretty good. I watched the trailer for it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. So those are the four people. I put a poll out on Instagram, and they recommended those. So, and again, if you're not on Instagram, I'm there too. Yeah. So I don't think, oh, like a while ago, last year I think even, I watched this movie, really liked it. It was called George Washington Slept Here. That was a good one. It really was. So what I liked about that film was that it took place in the 50s. And now a couple of these that I just mentioned, I was like, and I asked on Instagram, I'm like, I want to watch a good 1950s comedy film I put out. And so two of them were based in the Depression, the 20s era. And I was like, well, darn, but they were good still. George Washington Slept Here. So it's about this couple, married couple, newlyweds, I think. And they had just moved, they wanted to get a house. So they moved into this kind of rundown shack somewhere. Out in the woods, I think, more so. And apparently George Washington lived there or slept there, as the title would tell you. But it's a great film about taking this place and fixing it up, so to speak. It kind of reminded me of that film with, I cannot remember anybody's name, Shelley Long. I think that she was in it. And it has a house, and it's always falling apart. And they keep trying to fix it up, and it costs lots and lots of money. Money Pit. Money Pit? The Money Pit? I don't know if that's right or not, but I think it is. So 2019 goals. I set goals throughout the year, not just at the very beginning, and I'm always kind of like checking in on and seeing what they are. I don't really say, oh, at the beginning of the year, I'm going to create all the goals for the whole year, and that's what I'm going to do, because that's very unrealistic, and you don't know where you're going to go, what you're going to do. That seems like a song or something, but that's just not how I do it. But I do have an idea of like at least the foreseeable future, what I'm looking to do. And the first thing is to buy better quality items. Now that has to be on everybody's list, on every reseller's list. You should always be looking to improve your buying, improve how far your money goes, improve the quality at which you're buying, seek out better opportunities, take advantage of ones when you're presented them. And then that also ties into learning more. And for me, and it gets really kind of tricky, and I'll tell you why, I'd like to know a lot more about a lot of things, and that is very hard to do. It's hard to know what you need to learn. You know what I mean? You know, I could read a book on something, but is it the right information that I'm going to use? So yeah, it gets kind of tricky. And then it also leads into where do I want to go with this ultimately? You know, I'm only 29 years old, pretty young, I guess. So I have a lot of time, basically a career in front of me that I can choose to do with it what I want. And I do see myself reselling in some fashion in this environment of antiques, vintage. But I sort of have an identity crisis with that, because I don't know what I want to, like where I want to take this. I can gain all of this knowledge, but I don't know if I want to have a store, my own store, a antique mall environment where I have renters, which is basically the same. If I want to do estate sales and do that, that's basically, I would say that's basically kind of where I was in my brain, you know. And with that, what do I classify myself as right now? It's kind of weird. So I think I'm a dealer. I think I am just a generic dealer, but I venture more so into the antique side of things. So there are some people that out there in the resale community who sell new things. They buy it in bulk and then they'll sell it on Amazon, FBA, or they'll sell it on eBay, whatever. And there's some that sell a mixture and they really don't have a preference here nor there. And there's some who have a big preferential, they really like selling vintage, and it's more to them than just buying something old and cool that's going to make a lot of money, but something that they really just enjoy. And I put myself in that last category of really enjoying what I'm doing. So I pretty much live the life that I sell, if that makes a lot of sense. And so it's kind of hard to put that into a career move, because it literally is my life and I just do what I like to do. And that's sort of how I look at it. But if I was to take it a direction, I'm not sure what direction that would be. And then of course it goes into the learning and what do I learn? Where do I focus it? I think that it's hard to focus in every direction. You know, I could focus on ceramic, antique. How far back do I go? Do I go to the Egyptian era? Probably not. How much of that am I going to find? But, you know, it gets very tricky. And so I'm not sure what I should be doing as far as that's concerned. Now, of course, I'm going to continue to go out and buy vintage things. How in depth do I take this? Do I get on the path of becoming an antiques appraiser? I don't think so. It seems a little one-dimensional to me. I don't necessarily want to only be in the numbers game of, you know, this is worth this, that's worth that. Not so much. So yeah, I wanted to kind of touch upon that and say I don't really know what is in the extended future of what I'm trying to do, but I'm working on it. And if you have ideas in the comments below, let me know. It's just little tricky business. So, you know, speaking of the year 2019, how it's happening so far, yesterday was kind of a tough day for me, especially as it's so close to the start of a year when sales are slow. Yes, sales are slow in January. That's traditionally how it is. I had a very good December, as I did last December in 2017. But yeah, we had a couple blunders yesterday and they didn't feel too great. So I wanted to kind of touch upon that and how I handled it and what I can learn from it. That's always a good thing to do, and not to spend too much time on it. So I had early in the morning, I found out from a customer on Etsy that she received her package and it was the wrong thing. She said, oh, this is supposed to be a figurine and it's this other thing. Now, they were both the same size boxes, same weight pretty much, like within a couple ounces. So turns out I sent one thing to one person and another thing to the other person. They completely got flipped. So what am I going to do with that? Well, I printed out a replacement label for the one. I gave it to her, said just slap that right on top and send it back, or and mail it out. And what that'll do, it'll go straight to the actual customer. And then the other customer, I'm going to do the same thing to her. So it's unfortunate. Now, both items were under $20. The shipping each way was like $5 a piece. So it's not a huge loss. It's just sort of an annoyance, and it's all my fault. And I don't know, that's the first time that has ever happened in a very large number of orders. You know, I've never done that before. So sometimes you just have to have an experience like that. Luckily, it wasn't a huge money issue or anything. It was just sort of an annoyance, especially like I said at the beginning of the year. We're trying to set the pace for the year, and this is how we start. Not great, so I'm trying to ignore it as best as I can. Next thing that happened yesterday, all in one day, mind you. This stuff is very, very rare for me. Never have issues, which is very fortunate. A lot of people have a lot of struggle with issues and shipping, and I will tell you that whenever I first started selling online, I did have issues. I was learning the ropes. I was trying to understand the difference between priority mail and first class and flat rate and all of this, and it took a while. At one point I was threatened by the post office. The postmaster said, if you don't get this right, we're going to suspend your mail for your address. I was like, oh crap. I buckled down and I did a lot of research because I did not want that happening. And we're all good. We're good. So it's amazing how things can turn around. So yeah, yesterday, the other thing that happened large in part was I missed a small detail, and I shouldn't have, but it's one of those things where it's going to happen, I guess, sometimes to the right buyer. It was a larger set, heavier set of dishware made by Nikko, Nikko, and it was in a Christmas pattern. I sold 2 of them to the same buyer. One of the sets had a 1/4-inch scratch on the plate. It was a dinner plate, had 5 pieces in total. The dinner plate had a 1/4-inch scratch on it. He said, now when you hold this up to the light and you look up close, you can see the scratch. On a technicality, he is correct in wanting a refund and you having to pay for it all, because I mentioned in the listing that it was perfect shape, no issues at all. Shouldn't have done that. The problem is, whenever you look at them, it looked good, and many of the pieces had barcodes on the back from when they were bought. So there's not a whole lot I could have done in that case. It just slipped by me. So that was a $15 shipping lesson. No, a $30 shipping lesson because of, the back and forth of it. So not the best, but I'm going to overcome that one. And luckily, the other set that he bought, he's happy with. So he's only returning one of them. So that wasn't too great, but we'll get over it. I also wanted to talk about upcoming trips. I touched upon it in the last video, and by the time this video goes out, I'll already be on the trip. But I forgot to, I was trying to remember, that's the dog. I was trying to remember where I was going, and I have it written down now. I'm going to the Grand Cayman, Mahogany Bay, Cozumel, and Belize. So those 4 destinations, and we'll have excursions on each. I believe we're doing a tour of the Mayan ruins, and we're doing a couple snorkeling coral reef events, and then another like top 10 thing where you learn about the destination that you have that you're at. So that ought to be interesting. Definitely a new experience that I haven't done before. I've never left the country, so this will be kind of my, somebody text and the dog's wanting to do something. Stop it. Stop it. So that'll be a new learning experience, new adventure. And I would really like to get to Europe, not in this year, that's way too ridiculous, but the goal had always been by the time I was 30, and I don't know if that's gonna happen. That's next August, so. But anyways, that is the year, as I see it so far, that is the year that I had as also. So, anyways, I hope you liked the video. I know it was kind of weird, different, whatever, but I want to do a set down because I don't normally get to talk in depth about certain things. I actually don't even know how to incorporate it in my regular videos because it's kind of, I don't know, it's not really something, I don't know, just talking now. So, by the way, if you have any ideas on movies to watch, 1950s themed, even earlier, whatever, at this point, I don't care, older than 1960 and earlier, we're good to go. Let me know in the comments below your favorites on those. I tend to like comedies, romantic comedies, which I think is pretty much only, that's big in that era. So let me know. And anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye-bye.